Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast shorts. There's no co-host on these shorts episodes. These are now around 2 to 4 minute, sometimes as long as 6 to 10 minute observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and even the theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for now around 2 to 4 minutes is still better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Even that business book your coworker won't stop raving about because it quote-unquote changed their life, but you can't see any difference in their leadership behavior. So how good could that author be?
There are rules, best practices, and traditions. Rules establish boundaries and allow participants in an interaction the freedom to act or not within those boundaries. Best practices aren't formalized rules. These are all the informal ways that people engage or interact with each other to get things done. These best practices, if followed, lead to optimal outcomes, and if they are ignored, suboptimal outcomes result. Traditions are long-standing practices anchored to a story about a certain reality that serve to provide meaning and importance to an individual or community. Traditions don't have to be followed like rules, nor are they as informal as best practices. If followed, outcomes could be optimal or suboptimal. People, in general, mix all these categories and taxonomies of the ordering of reality in their heads and typically tend to come to false conclusions. People also suffer from putting too much emotional weight on certain areas and placing less psychological and emotional weight on other areas, which of course increases confusion. This confusion becomes obvious in a conflict, and in war, the ultimate conflict, this confusion can get soldiers and civilians killed. As leaders, we must make clear distinctions for the people following us, and we must make sure those distinctions are clear around rules, best practices, and traditions to the people watching us lead. Just some food for thought. And well, that's it for me.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast today. And now that you've made it this far, you should subscribe to the audio version of this show on all the major podcast players, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, and everywhere else where podcasts are available. There's also a video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the video version of this podcast on the Leadership Toolbox channel on YouTube. Just search for Leadership Toolbox and hit the subscribe button there on YouTube. And while you're doing that, leave a 5-star review if you like what we're doing here on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Just go below the player and hit 5 stars. We need those reviews to grow, and it's the easiest way to help grow this show. And tell all your friends, of course, in leadership. By the way, if you don't like what we're doing here, well, you can always listen to another leadership show. There are several other good ones out there. At least that's what I've heard. All right. Well, that's it for me.